Hello, everyone. I'm so happy you're here today. If you enjoy easy English, simple stories, and gentle life lessons, I hope you'll join our English book family by subscribing. Now, let's begin. Can I ask you a question? Have you ever wanted to change your life? Maybe you wanted to speak English with confidence. Maybe you wanted to read a book without using a dictionary. Maybe you wanted to understand a movie. Maybe you wanted to travel. Maybe you wanted to feel proud of yourself. Those are beautiful dreams. But sometimes, beautiful dreams can also feel very big. When we look at the whole mountain, we may think, I can never climb that. When we look at a long book, we may think, I can never finish it. When we hear someone speaking beautiful English, we may think, I will never sound like that. Have you ever felt that way? Many people have. Sometimes we stop before we even begin. Not because we are lazy, not because we are weak, but because the dream feels too far away. Can we think about one little picture? Imagine a child standing at the bottom of a long staircase. The child looks up. There are so many steps. The top seems very far away. For a moment, the child says nothing. Then something very simple happens. The child takes one step. Just one. The staircase does not become shorter. The child does not reach the top. Nothing amazing happens. It is only one small step. But something very important changes. The child is no longer standing still. The journey has begun. Maybe life is like that. Maybe learning English is like that too. We often think big changes happen all at once. But do they? Think about a tree. Was it always tall? No. It was once a tiny seed. Think about a river. Was it always wide? No. It began with small drops of water. Think about a book. Was it always finished? No. It began with one page. Everything beautiful begins with something small. Sometimes we forget this. We wait for a perfect day. We wait for more time. We wait until we feel ready. But children do something different. They begin. They try. They smile. They make mistakes. They try again. Children do not worry because today is small. They know tomorrow will come. They know another day will bring another chance. Maybe we can learn something from that. Maybe today does not have to be a big day. Maybe today only needs one small step, one new word, one new sentence, one new story. That may not feel like much today, but small things have a quiet power, a power that is easy to miss, a power that works slowly, a power that changes people little by little. Can I tell you something? You do not have to change your whole life today. You do not have to become a perfect English speaker today. You do not have to know every word today. You only have to take one small step. Then tomorrow, take another. One day you will look back. You will smile. Not because one big moment changed everything, but because many small moments quietly changed you. And maybe that is how the most beautiful journeys always begin. Can we stay with that little child for a little longer? The child is still standing on the staircase. There are many steps. The top still looks very far away. Nothing has changed. The stairs are still there. The journey is still long. But something inside the child is different now. The child has already taken the first step. Can I ask you something? Is the first step the biggest step? Maybe not. Is it the fastest step? No. Is it the most beautiful step? Probably not. But maybe it is the most important step. Because without the first step, there is no second step. There is no third step. There is no journey. Sometimes we think small steps are not important. We say, it is only one word. It is only one page. It is only 10 minutes. But can I ask you another question? What is a book made of? Many pages. What is a year made of? Many days. What is a journey made of? Many small steps. Everything big is quietly built by many small things. We often forget that. Imagine someone planting a tiny seed. The next morning, the garden looks the same. The day after that, it still looks the same. Nothing seems different. Some people might stop watering the seed. They might think, nothing is happening. But something is happening. The seed is growing where no one can see it. Its roots are becoming stronger. Its roots are reaching deeper into the ground. The most important work is happening quietly. Maybe learning English is like that too. You listen to one story today. Tomorrow, you listen to another. The next day, you learn one new word. Nothing feels different. You still make mistakes. You still forget words. You still need subtitles. Sometimes you may even feel that you are not improving. But are you really standing in the same place? Maybe not. Maybe your roots are growing. Maybe your listening is becoming stronger. Maybe your confidence is becoming stronger. Maybe your patience is becoming stronger. Some changes cannot be seen in one day. Some changes can only be seen after many quiet days. Children understand this without trying. They do not wake up every morning and ask, "Am I better than yesterday?" They simply begin another day. They play. They learn. They laugh. Then they sleep. The next morning, they do it again. They trust tomorrow. Maybe that is something we forgot as adults. We want to see today's result. Children enjoy today's learning. Those are two very different ways to live. Can I tell you something? Your small step today is doing more than you think. Maybe it is teaching your mind not to give up. Maybe it is teaching your heart to be patient. Maybe it is helping tomorrow become a little easier. That is why one small step matters. Not because it changes everything today, because it helps change everything tomorrow. So do not worry if today's step feels small. Do not worry if nobody notices it. Keep walking. Keep learning. Keep trusting the quiet work that is happening inside you. Because the smallest step you take today may become the reason you can do something amazing one day. Can I ask you another question? Why do we stop taking small steps? Maybe because they feel too small. One word does not seem important. One page does not seem important. One short lesson does not seem important. We quietly tell ourselves, this is not enough. Have you ever thought that? Many people have. We live in a world that loves big things. Big dreams. Big success. Big changes. Big results. But life does not usually grow that way. Life grows quietly. Can we think about something very simple? Imagine a glass sitting on a table. Every morning, someone pours one drop of water into it. Just one drop. The first day, the glass still looks empty. The second day, it still looks empty. The third day, it looks almost the same. If you only looked at the glass, you might think nothing is changing. But every drop is still there. Every drop is waiting. Every drop is becoming part of something bigger. One day, the glass becomes full. Can I ask you something? Which drop filled the glass? Was it the last one? No. The last drop could not do its job. Without every drop before it. Maybe learning English is the same. The story you listened to last week still matters. The word you learned yesterday still matters. The sentence you practiced this morning still matters. Nothing is wasted. Everything is joining together. Sometimes we only celebrate the last step. We forget all the quiet steps before it. Imagine reading a story in English. At first, every sentence feels difficult. Then one day, you understand one page. A few weeks later, you understand 2 pages. Months later, you finish the whole story. People may say, "Wow, your English is so good." But they did not see the small steps. They did not see the quiet mornings. They did not see the days when you felt tired. They did not see the words you forgot. They only saw the result. Children never think this way. When they stack blocks, they never become angry because they only have one block. They smile. Then they add another, then another. They know something beautiful is growing, even when it is still small. Maybe we can learn from that. Do not look at today's step by itself. Look at it as part of something bigger. Every story you finish adds one more drop. Every new word adds one more drop. Every time you come back adds one more drop. Little by little, your glass is filling. Little by little, your confidence is growing. Little by little, your future is changing. Maybe today's step feels too small to matter, but one day, you will look back and you will realize something. The smallest steps were quietly changing everything. Can we think about one more little picture? Imagine someone holding a pencil. The pencil is very short. It has been used many times. Someone may look at it and think, it is too small now. But can I ask you something? What made the pencil short? Was it one long day? No. It became shorter, one little word at a time, one little drawing at a time, one little page at a time. Every small moment changed the pencil. The change was slow. The change was quiet. But it was real. Maybe learning English is like that. Every time you read one sentence, something changes. Every time you hear one new word, something changes. Every time you finish one story, something changes. You may not feel it. You may not notice it. But your mind is changing. Can I ask you another question? Have you ever looked at an old notebook? Maybe you found one from last year. You opened it. You saw words that once felt difficult. Then you smiled, because those words feel easy now. When did they become easy? Was it yesterday? No. Was it last week? Probably not. They became easy, little by little. You simply did not notice it while it was happening. That is how many good things grow. A child grows taller. A tree grows stronger. A friendship grows deeper. None of these things happen in one day. English does not happen in one day either. Sometimes people say, I studied for 1 hour today. Then they feel disappointed. They think, 1 hour is not enough. But maybe they are asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, was 1 hour enough? Maybe ask, what did that 1 hour give me? Maybe it gave you one new word. Maybe it gave you one new idea. Maybe it gave you a little more confidence. Maybe it reminded you not to give up. Small gifts are still gifts. Children understand this very well. Give a child one colorful sticker. The child smiles. Give a child one small flower. The child smiles. Give a child one kind word. The child smiles. Children know how to enjoy small things. Maybe adults forget. We keep waiting for something big, a big success, a big change, a big surprise. But life quietly asks us another question. What will you do with today's little chance? Maybe today's little chance is this story. Maybe it is one page in your book. Maybe it is one sentence you understand for the first time. Please do not call those things small. They are building something much bigger than you can see today. Can I tell you something? One word teaches another word. One sentence helps another sentence. One story prepares you for the next story. Nothing stands alone. Everything is connected. Every little step is helping the step that comes after it. That is why today's effort matters. Even if today's effort feels tiny, even if nobody else can see it, one day, you will see it. And when you do, you may smile, because you will finally understand that every small step was quietly walking with you all along. Can I ask you another question? Have you ever been on a long trip? Maybe you wanted to visit a new place. Before you started walking, you first chose a direction. Then you took one step, then another. Can we think about one little picture? Imagine a child holding a small compass. The child does not understand everything about the journey. The child does not know every road. The child does not know how long it will take. But the child knows one thing. Which way to go? Can I ask you something? Is it better to run in the wrong direction or walk slowly in the right one? Maybe walking slowly is wiser, because every small step brings you closer. Even if the step feels tiny, learning English is often like that. Some people study for many hours. Some people study for only 20 minutes. But time is not the only question. The real question is, did today's learning move you forward? Maybe you learned one useful word. Maybe you understood one new sentence. Maybe you listened carefully instead of rushing. Those things matter. Sometimes we think, I need to study more. Maybe. But maybe we also need to study with more patience. Children understand this naturally. When they build with blocks, they do not throw the first block away. They place another block on top of it. Every block has a job. Every block makes the tower stronger. English works the same way. The first story helps you understand the second story. The second story helps you enjoy the third story. The third story prepares you for the fourth. Nothing is lonely. Nothing is useless. Everything helps something that comes later. Think about riding a bicycle. At first, you think about everything. The pedals, the handlebars, your balance, where to look. Everything feels difficult. Then one day, you simply ride. You do not remember the exact day it became easier. You only know that it did. Learning often happens like that. Quietly, slowly, without asking for attention. Can I tell you something? Please do not be afraid of slow days. Slow days are still moving days. A quiet lesson is still a lesson. One page is still one page. One word is still one word. Keep choosing the right direction. Even if your steps are small, because a small step in the right direction will always take you farther than 100 steps in the wrong one. So today, do not worry about how fast you are walking. Simply ask yourself, am I still moving forward? If the answer is yes, today was a beautiful day. Can we think about one more little picture? Imagine a child learning to play the piano. The child sits down. The child presses one key, then another. The music is not beautiful yet. Sometimes the child presses the wrong key. Sometimes the child stops, then the child smiles and begins again. Can I ask you something? Do you think the child becomes a wonderful piano player in 1 week? Of course not. But something beautiful happens every time the child sits down. The child's hands remember a little more. The child's ears hear a little more. The child's heart becomes a little more confident. The change is almost impossible to see, but it is happening every single day. Maybe learning English is just like that. The first story feels difficult. The second story feels a little easier. The third story sounds a little more familiar. You may not notice it, but your brain notices. Your ears notice. Your memory notices. Every time you listen, your mind is quietly learning the sounds. Every time you read, your eyes become a little faster. Every time you hear a word again, it becomes a little more familiar. Can I ask you another question? Why do children become so good at new things? Is it because they never make mistakes? No. Is it because they are always confident? No. Maybe it is because they keep showing up. Again, and again, and again. They do not wait until they feel ready. They become ready because they keep coming back. That is a very different way to learn. Sometimes adults say, "I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when I feel confident. I'll start next week." Children simply start today, even if today is not perfect. Maybe that is their secret. Not talent, not luck, just another small step. Think about your own life. How many small steps have you already taken? How many stories have you already finished? How many new words have you already learned? Maybe more than you think. Sometimes we become so focused on the mountain that we forget to look behind us. If you look back today, you may see someone who has already grown. Not completely, not perfectly, but honestly, quietly, little by little. Can I tell you something? Never think a small habit is unimportant. A small habit becomes tomorrow's strength. A small habit becomes next month's confidence. A small habit becomes next year's success. People often notice success. They rarely notice the quiet habit that created it. But that quiet habit changes everything. So when you open one English story tomorrow, do not think, "It is only one story." Smile, because you are building something much bigger than one story. You are building a new habit. You are building a stronger mind. You are building a future that begins with today's small step. But what happens when we keep taking those small steps for a long time? Can we think about that together? Imagine a child planting a tiny apple seed. The child waters it. The next morning, there is no tree. The child waters it again. 1 week later, there is still no tree. The child keeps watering it, day after day, week after week. Can I ask you something? Do you think the child is wasting time? Some people might say yes. They cannot see anything. The ground looks exactly the same. But the child smiles anyway. Why? Because the child believes something is happening, even if it cannot be seen. Maybe that is one of the greatest lessons we can learn. Not every good thing grows where our eyes can see it. Some things grow quietly. Some things grow deep inside. Think about learning your first language. Did you become fluent in 1 month? No. For a long time. You were only listening. You heard the same words again and again. You heard the same voices every day. Little by little, your brain began to understand. Nobody could see it happening, But it was happening. Learning English is not so different. Every story you listen to becomes another drop of experience. Every sentence you understand becomes another small victory. Every word you hear again becomes a little more familiar. Sometimes you may think, I already know this word. That is wonderful. Because every time you meet the same word again, it becomes a little stronger inside your memory. Children never become bored because they hear the same word many times. In fact, that is exactly how they learn. They hear, good morning, again and again. They hear, thank you, again and again. One day, those words become completely natural, not because they studied harder, because they met those words many times. Maybe we should not be afraid of repetition. Maybe repetition is one of our greatest teachers. Can I ask you another question? Have you ever listened to one English story for the second time? Did you notice something? The story felt different. Not because the story changed, because you changed. You noticed a word you missed before. You understood one more sentence. You smiled because something felt easier. That is quiet progress. It does not shout. It does not ask for attention. It simply keeps growing. Time is helping you every day, even on the days when you cannot feel it. Even on the days when you think nothing is changing. Please remember this. Time is not your enemy. Time is your friend. As long as you keep taking one small step. One story, one lesson, one smile. One day at a time. One day, you will stand where you once dreamed of standing. People may ask, how did you do it? The answer will probably be very simple. I just kept taking small steps. And those small steps quietly changed everything. Can I ask you another question? Where does confidence come from? Many people think confidence comes first. They think, when I feel confident, I will begin. But is that really true? Can we think about one little picture? Imagine a child learning to swim. The child stands beside the water. The water looks cold. The water looks deep. The child feels nervous. The child does not say, I will jump in when I feel brave. Instead, the child holds someone's hand. The child takes one small step into the water, then another. The water is still the same, but the child is changing. Can I ask you something? When did the confidence begin? Before the first step? Or after it? Maybe confidence grows because of small steps, not before them. Think about the first time you listened to an English story. Perhaps you understood only a few words. Maybe you felt disappointed. Maybe you wondered, will I ever understand more? Then you came back. You listened again and again. At first, you did not notice much. But one day, you understood one more sentence. A few days later, you understood another. Then something quiet happened. You stopped worrying quite so much. You became a little calmer. You became a little braver. That is confidence. It did not arrive all at once. It grew quietly. Children understand this without thinking about it. When they learn to ride a bicycle, they fall. They stand up. They try again. Every little success whispers, you can do one more. Then another little success whispers the same thing. Slowly, their heart begins to believe it. Confidence is often a quiet voice. It does not shout. You are perfect. It gently says, try one more time. Maybe that is all we need today. Not perfect confidence, Just enough courage to take one more small step. Can I tell you something? Every time you keep going, you are giving yourself proof. Proof that you can learn. Proof that you can grow. Proof that you do not give up easily. That proof becomes confidence. Not because someone tells you that you are amazing, because you begin to see it for yourself. One lesson, one story, one page, one small victory at a time. Please do not wait until you feel fearless. Most people never do. Take one small step anyway. Your confidence will quietly walk beside you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, you will notice something. The person who was afraid to begin has quietly become someone who keeps going. And that is a beautiful kind of confidence. Can I ask you something? Have you ever thought about how a day begins? Most days do not begin with something big. They begin with something very small. You wake up. You open your eyes. You take a deep breath. Then you make your first little choice. Can we think about one little picture? Imagine two children waking up on the same morning. Both children have the same 24 hours. Both children see the same sunrise. Both children hear the birds outside. The day is waiting for both of them. One child picks up a book. The other child says, "Maybe later." Neither choice seems very important. It is only a few minutes. Can a few minutes really matter? Maybe not today. But what about tomorrow? What about next month? What about next year? Small choices are quiet. They do not ask for attention. They simply become part of our lives. Maybe that is why they are so powerful. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not brush your teeth once and expect them to stay clean forever. You do it again tomorrow, then the next day, then the next. The habit feels ordinary, but the result is extraordinary. Learning English is very similar. One story does not change everything. One lesson does not change everything. One new word does not change everything. But one story becomes many stories. One lesson becomes many lessons. One word becomes many words. Little by little, your understanding grows. Can I ask you another question? What if you only read one page every day? One page does not feel like much. You may even think, it is too little. But after 1 month, you have read many pages. After 1 year, you may have finished many books. The page did not become powerful by itself. Time gave it power. The same is true for today's lesson. You may finish this story and think, it was only one story. But maybe this story is helping you become someone who comes back tomorrow. And tomorrow's story will help the next day. Then the next. That is how quiet habits grow. Children rarely think about the future while they are learning. They simply enjoy today's adventure. Maybe that is why every day becomes another chance instead of another burden. Maybe we can learn from them. You do not have to make 100 good choices today. You only need one. One choice to listen. One choice to read. One choice to try. One choice to come back. Please do not underestimate today's choice. Tomorrow is built from today's choice. Next year is built from today's choice. The future is not built in one amazing moment. It is built in many ordinary moments, moments that seem too small to matter. Until one day, you look back and you realize those ordinary moments quietly created an extraordinary life. So when tomorrow begins, do not ask, what big thing should I do? Instead, ask yourself, what is one small good choice I can make today? That one question may quietly change your future. Can I ask you another question? What happens when we plant a seed? Do we dig it up the next morning to see if it is growing? Of course not. We know that would never help. We give it water. We give it sunlight. Then we wait. Can we think about that for a moment? It is interesting. We are patient with a seed. We are patient with a young tree. We are patient with a puppy that is learning. We are patient with a child who is growing. But sometimes, we are not patient with ourselves. We learn 10 new words. Then we ask, why can't I remember all of them? We listen to one English story. Then we ask, why is my English still not perfect? We study for 1 week. Then we wonder, why am I not fluent yet? Can I tell you something? Maybe we are asking our hearts to grow too fast. Imagine a little girl learning to bake bread with her grandmother. The grandmother mixes the flour. She adds water. She smiles. Then she covers the bowl with a cloth. The little girl asks, can we eat it now? Her grandmother laughs softly. Not yet. They wait. The little girl looks again. It still looks the same. Not yet. A little more time passes. Slowly. The dough begins to rise. Can I ask you something? What made the bread grow? Was it one magical moment? No. It was the quiet work of time. Maybe learning English is just like that. Every story you hear is like a little bit of flour. Every new word is like a little drop of water. Every time you come back is another warm day that helps the dough rise. You cannot always see the change, but that does not mean nothing is happening. The most important work is often invisible. Think about the first story you listened to on this channel. Maybe it felt slow. Maybe it felt difficult. Now think about today's story. Perhaps you understand a little more. Perhaps you feel a little calmer. Perhaps you're no longer afraid of every new word. Those changes did not happen in one day. They happened because you stayed, because you listened, because you came back. Children rarely ask, why am I not finished yet? They are too busy learning, too busy playing, too busy discovering something new. Maybe we can learn from that. Instead of asking, when will I finally get there? Maybe ask, what am I learning today? That question feels lighter. That question brings peace. That question helps us enjoy the journey. Can I tell you one more thing? Please do not hurry your own growth. A flower blooms in its own season. A tree grows in its own time. Bread rises when it is ready. And people grow one quiet day at a time. So trust today's small step. Trust tomorrow's small step. Trust the quiet work that is happening inside you. One day, you will smile. Not because you reached the end quickly, but because you never stopped believing. That small steps were enough. Can I ask you one more question? Who are you becoming? Maybe that feels like a difficult question. So let me ask it in a different way. Who are you becoming? Every time you take one small step? Can we think about one little picture? Imagine a child learning to write. The first letter looks messy. The second letter is not much better. Sometimes the lines are too long. Sometimes they are too short. Sometimes the child erases the page and starts again. Can I ask you something? Does the child become a better writer because of one perfect letter? No. The child becomes a better writer because the child keeps writing. One letter, one word, one page at a time. Maybe we think we are only practicing a skill, but something else is happening. Every time the child sits down to write, the child is becoming someone who does not give up easily. That change is even more important than beautiful handwriting. Maybe learning English is the same. Every time you open a story, you are doing more than learning English. You are becoming someone who keeps learning. Every time you listen again, you are becoming someone who does not quit. Every time you return after a busy day, you are becoming someone who keeps a promise to yourself. Can I ask you another question? What kind of person listens to one English story every day? A curious person, a patient person, a hopeful person. Maybe you do not feel like that every day. That is okay. You do not have to feel patient. To practice patience, you do not have to feel confident. To become more confident, sometimes we think our feelings come first, but very often, our actions come first. Then our feelings quietly follow. Think about the first time you rode a bicycle. Maybe you felt nervous. You rode anyway. Think about the first time you spoke English. Maybe your voice was shaking. You spoke anyway. Think about the first story you listened to. Maybe you understood very little. You listened anyway. Those small actions were changing you. Not only your English, you. Little by little. One quiet choice at a time. Children understand this naturally. They do not wake up and say, "Today I will become a brave person." They simply try something new. Then they try again tomorrow. One day, people say, "What a brave child." The bravery did not appear in one moment. It grew from many little moments. Maybe kindness grows that way too. Maybe patience grows that way. Maybe hope grows that way. And maybe confidence grows that way. Not all at once, but little by little. Can I tell you something? Please do not think today's lesson is only teaching you English. It is teaching you something about yourself. Every page you read, every story you finish, every time you choose not to give up, you are quietly becoming the person you hope to become. That change is slow. That change is gentle. That change is real. And one day, you may look back and smile. Not because your English became perfect, but because you became stronger than you were before. Sometimes, that is the greatest change of all. Can I ask you something? What makes a good day? Is it something big? A big surprise? A big success? A big change? Sometimes, but not always. Can we think about one little picture? Imagine a child coming home after school. The child puts down a small backpack. The child drinks a glass of water. The child opens a favorite book. The child reads one page, then another. It is a very ordinary afternoon. Nothing exciting happens. No one claps. No one says, "Amazing job." The day feels quiet. But can I ask you another question? Does that make the day unimportant? Not at all. Sometimes the most important days are the ones that feel the most ordinary. Think about your English journey. Maybe today you learned only one new word. Maybe you listened to only one story. Maybe you practiced for only a few minutes. Those moments may not feel special today, but tomorrow is built on days like this. Next month is built on days like this. Even your future is quietly built on ordinary days. Children understand this better than we do. They do not ask, "Was today exciting enough?" They simply enjoy today. They laugh. They learn. They rest. Then they wake up and do it again, little by little. Those ordinary days become a beautiful childhood. Maybe our learning can grow the same way. Please do not wait for a perfect study day. Please do not wait until you have many free hours. If you have 10 quiet minutes, use them well. If you can learn one new sentence, enjoy it. If you can listen to one more story, smile. Small moments are never really small. They are quietly becoming part of who you are. Can I tell you one more thing? One ordinary day may not change your life, but hundreds of ordinary days can change everything. So when tomorrow comes, do not ask, will today be an amazing day? Instead, ask, what small good thing can I do today? That simple question may quietly lead you somewhere wonderful. Can we stay together for one more moment? Today, we talked about many small things. A small step, a small habit, a small choice, a small moment. At first, they all seemed different, but maybe they were all telling the same story. Small things are never really small. Can I ask you something? Think about the person you were 1 year ago. What could you do then? What can you do today? Maybe the difference does not feel very big, but it is there. Maybe 1 year ago you could not understand this story. Today you can. Maybe 1 year ago you were afraid to listen to English. Today you are still here. That is not a small thing. Sometimes we forget to notice our own growth. We only notice the things we still cannot do. But there is another way to look at life. Instead of asking, what am I missing? Maybe ask, what have I already learned? That question changes something inside us. It reminds us to be thankful. It reminds us to keep going. Children are very good at this. When they learn one new thing, they become excited. They do not spend the whole day thinking about what they cannot do. They enjoy what they can do today. Maybe we can learn from them. Please do not let today's small success pass by without a smile. If you learned one new word, smile. If you understood one new sentence, smile. If you simply came back and listened today, smile. Every small step deserves a little joy, because joy gives us the strength to take the next step. Can I tell you something? You do not need a perfect day to make progress. You only need today. And today, you took another small step. That step matters, more than you know. Before today's story comes to an end, can I share one last thought with you? I hope you will remember it. Not only today, but whenever you feel like giving up. Sometimes we believe that big moments change our lives. A big opportunity, a big decision, a big success. Those moments are wonderful, but they are not the whole story. Most of our lives are made of ordinary days, ordinary mornings, ordinary afternoons, ordinary evenings. And inside those ordinary days, we make quiet choices. We choose to try again. We choose to learn one more thing. We choose to come back. Again and again. Those choices may seem very small, but they are never wasted. They are quietly becoming part of you. Can I ask you something? Who will you become if you keep taking one small step every day? Maybe you cannot answer that today. And that is okay. You do not have to know the whole future. You only have to believe in today's step. One day, you will wake up and realize something. The things that once felt difficult will feel natural. The things that once felt impossible will feel possible. Not because one amazing day changed everything, but because many quiet days worked together. Please remember this. Never be ashamed of a small beginning. Every strong tree began as a tiny seed. Every long journey began with one small step. Every confident person was once a beginner. You are allowed to begin. You are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to learn at your own pace. There is nothing wrong with quiet progress. In fact, quiet progress often lasts the longest. So keep trusting today's little effort, even when it feels invisible, even when nobody notices, because every small step is gently leading you toward a better tomorrow. And maybe that is all a beautiful journey has ever needed. Before we say goodbye, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. And thank you for taking another small step today. Sometimes we forget how meaningful one small step can be. But today, you chose to be here. You chose to listen. You chose to keep learning. That choice matters. Maybe tomorrow you will learn one new word. Maybe you will remember an old one. Maybe you will simply listen to another story. Whatever tomorrow brings, do not stop believing in small steps. They have carried you this far, and they will carry you farther. There is no need to rush. There is no need to be perfect. There is no need to change your whole life in one day. Just keep taking one small step, one story, one lesson, one day at a time. One day, you will look back. You may not remember every word you learned. You may not remember every story you listened to. But you will remember the person you became. Someone who kept going. Someone who stayed curious. Someone who believed that little things matter. I hope today's story stays with you. Not because it was perfect, but because it reminds you that every beautiful journey begins the same way. With one small step. Take good care of yourself. Be patient with yourself. Keep learning. Keep smiling. And see you in the next story.